Easy Tribe, welcome back to Education and Bass. This is Occult, and I have a course for you today on the art of destructive processing. In its most basic form, destructive processing is taking some frequencies away from a sound while accentuating other frequencies. So we can use EQs to do this, we can use distortion, we can use reverb, delay, phaser, flanger. We can use all kinds of effects to achieve a certain sound we're going for that's the opposite of super clean and super high fidelity. So this course should help you to create your own unique sounds treated your way to get the sound you're going for. It should give you a broader knowledge of effects and processes we use in computer music, and it should help for you to accurately translate a sound you're going for in your track. For example, if you wanted to create an 80s track, you'd have to find ways of mimicking that 80s sound. And this course should widen your knowledge on achieving those sounds and utilizing them. I'll begin with some chords like I usually do, then we'll begin processing and getting the sound I want out of this track. So we can start our destructive processing early. I'm going to give it a small bit of reverb, some of this faux analog delay. Oh, and one more thing, we are using some drive, so we are getting some distortion out of this to begin with. So I'm going to play some chords, I'm going to take an excerpt of the recording, and then we're going to slice that sample and create something new out of it so that the track I end up with can sound as though I really have sampled something from an old soul record, for example. So whichever way is best for you to slice a sample, you can decide. You can do it completely manually, or you can find a tool to do it automatically. So as you can hear, each sample is cutting the previous sample off and playing the next sample. So one of the first things that I like to do when we have a sample of this type is to change the pitch. So you can already hear this clip is starting to sound like a sample just from slicing it, pitching it down, and we'll get to some processes right after this. So let's record this in. We do want to clean the sample up, but we also want to leave some level of grit and muddiness, because this is destructive processing after all, and we want to get that character into the sound. So what I've just done with the vibrato is give some slow wobble to the pitch. Again, giving it a kind of tape sound, so it sounds like the pitch is slowly changing over time, which is great for making something sound even more like a sample from an old tape or an old record. Next, I add a little bit of distortion. So I'm going to load up a favorite distortion plugin of mine, but you can use whatever distortion you like. So I'll give it a bit of mechanical distortion, maybe a small amount of compression, some bandpass filtering, which will give us an accentuated, rolled off low end. So I gave it some band pass filter, I gave it some of the low pass filter, and slowly we're just making this sound unique and mechanical in nature. During the destructive processing, you will need to use a lot of EQs. You'll be adding distortion and then taming that distortion with an EQ, and adding another plugin, then taming that plugin with an EQ, and so on. Okay, now to give that track some presence, why don't we widen it up a little bit using this free widening plugin by Infected Mushroom. So that will just give the sound some stereo presence while also having the lo-fi nature that we're going for. Lastly, I'll just add a small amount of compression to that, the high attack and a mid-level release. Just to bring all of that sound up to a similar volume and get the punch we want. So there we have it for writing a chord line, chopping up those chords that we've written and turning it into a sample. Next, I'll be doing some drums and some bass and an overall mix on the track to show you how to achieve a similar sound.